Captain Dongwu stared at the broken message on his screen. The words came in pieces full of static and fear. His human research ship Harmony floated in the dark space between stars, picking up the weak signal from far away. Orthoc pack. Hunting us ... They picked us off one by one. Please help us ... Double quotes, the message cut out. Only silence remained. Dongwu had heard stories about the Orthoc. Every species in the galaxy knew about them. They were 8 feet tall with thick scales. Like armor. Their claws could cut through metal. Their teeth could bite through bone. They hunted in packs like wild animals, but they were smart, very smart. Most species feared them. The Galactic Council called them apex predators. This meant they were at the top of the food chain. Nothing hunted them. They hunted everything else. Captain, said Sujin, the ship's science officer. She was a small woman with quick hands and bright eyes. The signal came from Kepler 442b. It's a mining colony. 300 humans work there, said Tejo from his seat at the communications desk. His face was grim. I've been trying to contact them for an hour. Nothing. Dongwu felt a cold feeling in his stomach. The Vorthok did not take prisoners. They did not make deals. They hunted for sport. When they picked a target, they played with it like a cat plays with a mouse. How long to get there? Dongwu asked. Borum, the chief engineer, checked her numbers. She was young but very good with machines. 6 hours at full speed. Captain 2. The Harmony turned toward the distant planet. It was not a warship. It was built for research, not fighting. The crew of 25 humans were scientists and engineers, not soldiers. They had some basic weapons, but nothing that could stop a Vorthok pack during the long trip. Sujin studied everything she could find about the Vorthok. She read reports from survivors. There were not many survivors. They don't just kill. She told the others they make it last. They hunt one person at a time. They let the others watch. They want their prey to be afraid. Why? Asked Hyen-Woo, the ship's cook. He was a big man with gentle hands, but his eyes were hard now. Because fear makes the meat taste better, Sujin said quietly. The words made everyone uncomfortable. Humans were not used to being prey. On Earth, humans had climbed to the top of the food chain long ago. They had tamed wolves into dogs. They had turned wild cattle into farm animals. They had made the ocean's greatest predators into dinner, but in space, things were different. Out here there were creatures that could hunt humans. The Vorthok were the worst of them all. Kepler-442b was a brown and gray planet with thin air and little water. The mining colony sat in a valley between 2 mountains from space. It looked peaceful. Too peaceful. No power signatures, Tejo reported. No communications, no movement. Dongwu made his choice. Take us down landing pad 3. The Harmony landed with a soft thump. The crew put on their environment suits and stepped outside. The colony was built like a small city. There were living quarters, work buildings, and a large central area where people gathered to eat and talk. Now it was empty. Over here, called Minho, the security chief. He was the only real soldier on the ship. He pointed to dark stains on the ground. Blood, lots of it. They found the first signs of the hunt near the main gate. Deep claw marks in the metal. Holes in the walls where acid had eaten through. The Vorthok had not tried to hide their work. They wanted the colonists to know they were coming, Sujin said, studying the marks. This is psychological warfare. They moved deeper into the colony. The buildings were damaged but not destroyed. Windows were broken. Doors were torn off, but the important things were still there. The power plant still worked. The water systems were fine. The food storage was untouched. They're not here to take anything, Borum said. They're here to hunt. In the central area, they found evidence of the Vorthok's cruel game. Chairs were arranged in a circle. Dark stains marked the ground in the middle. Scratches on the walls showed where people had tried to escape. They made the others watch, Minho said. His voice was tight with anger. Yuan Young, the ship's doctor, knelt beside the stains. She was young and usually smiled a lot. Now her face was serious. The blood is fresh, maybe 6 hours old. So they're still here, Dongwu said. A sound echoed through the empty colony. It was low and deep, like a growl but with intelligence behind it. The Vorthok were talking to each other. They know we're here, Tejo whispered. The crew moved closer together. They were alone on an alien world with the galaxy's most dangerous predators. Their ship was a 10-minute walk away, but it might as well have been on another planet. Another sound came from the shadows between buildings. This time it was different. It was laughter. The Vorthok were laughing at them. Captain Sujin said quietly, I don't think we're here to rescue anyone. I think we're here to be the next victims. Dongwu looked at his crew. They were afraid, but they were not panicking. These were good people, smart people. They had that survived the dangerous journey to the stars. They had faced unknown worlds and strange creatures, but they had never faced anything like this. A shape moved in the darkness between 2 buildings. It was tall and moved like liquid shadow. Then another shape appeared, and another. The Vorthok were coming. Back to the ship, Dongwu ordered. Now they ran. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit began. The Vorthok were not hurrying. They knew their prey could not escape. This was just another hunt to them. Halfway to the ship, Minho stopped and turned around. Captain, we're not going to make it there too fast. Dongwu could see the truth in his security chief's eyes. The Vorthok were playing with them, letting them think they had a chance. Soon they would close the trap. Then we don't run, Dongwu said. We face them. The crew stopped running. They turned to face their hunters. In the growing darkness of the alien world, the Vorthok emerged from the shadows. There were 7 of them, each one a perfect killing machine. Their leader was the largest, with scars across his face and arms. He had been hunting for a long time. He approached the humans slowly, enjoying their fear. More prey, he said in broken human language. Good, the others died too quickly. Dongwu stepped forward. His heart was beating fast, but his voice was steady. We're not prey. The Vorthok leader laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass. All things are prey. Some just don't know it yet. Maybe, Dongwu said. But we're humans, and humans have a very different idea about who eats whom. The Vorthok looked confused. Prey did not usually talk back to their hunters. Sujin stepped up beside her captain. In her hand she held her scientific scanner. Tell me, she said to the Vorthok leader, what do you know about human dietary habits? The question was so unexpected that the Vorthok leader actually took a step back, because Sujin continued with a smile that did not reach her eyes. We've been studying yours for quite some time. The hunt was about to begin. But perhaps the Vorthok did not understand who was hunting whom. The Vorthok leader stared at Sujin with confusion. Prey animals did not ask questions. They ran, they screamed, they begged for mercy. They did not stand calmly with scientific equipment and talk about diet. What are you doing? The Vorthok leader growled. His pack moved closer, forming a circle around the humans. Their claws clicked on the stone ground. Their eyes glowed in the darkness. Sujin looked at her scanner readings. Fascinating. Your muscle density is much higher than our records show. And your metabolic rate, ... Very interesting. She looked up at the towering alien. You must eat a lot of protein. The Vorthok leader's confusion grew. We eat everything. We are the hunters, you are the prey. Yes, yes, Sujin said, waving her hand. But what I want to know is how you digest complex proteins. Your stomach acid must be incredibly strong. Do you have multiple stomachs like earth cattle? Behind her, Hyanwu stepped forward. The cook was a big man, but he moved gently. In his hands he carried his ingredient scanner and a small notebook. Your musculature suggests you prefer fresh meat. But do you age it at all? And what about seasoning? Do you use any spices? The Vorthok pack exchanged glances. These humans were not acting like prey. They were acting like ... scientists. Like people studying a new type of animal. We do not cook our food, the leader said slowly. We eat it as we kill it. Raw meat. Hyanwu nodded, making notes. Interesting, that limits the flavor options. But with the right preparation ... He looked up at the alien predator. Have you ever tried marinated meat? The acid breaks down the tough fibers. Makes it much more tender. The Vorthok leader took a step back. Something was wrong here. Very wrong. Captain Dongwu moved to stand beside his crew members. You know, we humans have a tradition too. When we meet apex predators, we invite them to dinner. We do not eat with prey. Leader snarled. Dongwu smiled. It was not a nice smile. Who said anything about eating with you? We were planning to eat you. The Vorthok pack laughed. The sound echoed off the empty buildings. These small, weak creatures thought they could hunt the galaxy's greatest predators. It was the funniest thing they had heard in years, but as they laughed, they did not notice the humans spreading out. They did not see the small devices that Bioram was placing on the ground. They did not hear the quiet beeping that came from Teho's communication equipment. You are brave for prey, the Vorthok leader said when the laughter stopped. But bravery will not save you. We have hunted 1,000 species. We have never been hunted. That's about to change, said Minho quietly. The security chief was not looking at the Vorthok anymore. He was looking at the sky. Something was moving up there. Something the Vorthok had not seen. Dr. Yunyang stepped forward. She was the youngest of the crew, but her voice was steady. Tell me, how much do you know about human history? We know you are weak, the Vorthok leader replied. You have no claws, no fangs, no natural weapons. You are food for real predators. That's what the dinosaurs thought, Yunyang said. And the mammoths. And the saber-toothed tigers. And the great white sharks. What happened to them? Asked one of the Vorthok pack. We ate them, all the humans said at the same time. The Vorthok leader felt something he had not felt in many years. Uncertainty. These humans were not acting like prey. They were acting like something else. Something dangerous. You lie, he said. Humans are classified as mid-tier species. You are not apex predators. Captain Dongwu laughed. That's what we wanted you to think. The first explosion came from behind the Vorthok pack. Bioram's devices had been mines, set to create light and noise. The Vorthok spun around, confused and blinded. The second explosion came from above. The thing in the sky was not a star, it was a ship, a human warship that had been hiding in the planet's shadow. You see, Dongwu said as the Vorthok stumbled in the bright light, we've been watching you for months, learning your patterns, studying your hunting methods. We know everything about you. Sujin was still taking readings with her scanner. Body temperature, heart rate, stress hormones, perfect. The adrenaline will make the meat more tender. And fear adds flavor. Hi, added helpfully. The Vorthok leader realized the terrible truth. They were not the hunters anymore. They were the prey. The Vorthok pack tried to run, but they found themselves trapped. The humans had surrounded them without them noticing. More humans were coming from the ship above. These were not scientists. These were soldiers. How? The Vorthok leader gasped. We are the perfect hunters. We have never been caught by surprise. Because you hunt like animals, Minho said. The security chief had changed. He was no longer a simple ship's guard. He moved like a predator himself. We hunt like soldiers. The truth was worse than the Vorthok could imagine. The human research ship was not really a research ship. It was a trap. The humans had been hunting the Vorthok pack for weeks, following them from planet to planet, learning their methods. You made one mistake, Captain Dongwu explained. You thought humans were prey because we don't have claws or fangs. But humans became apex predators because we have something better. We have brains. Sujin was still studying the surrounded aliens. Did you know that human ancestors were prey animals? Small mammals that lived in trees, hiding from bigger predators. But we learned to use tools. We learned to work together. We learned to plan. We learned to cook. Hyenwu added. The Vorthok leader looked around at his pack. They were the greatest hunters in the galaxy, but they were trapped like animals. In a cage. How had this happened? We studied your hunting patterns, Bioram explained. She was setting up more equipment around the area. You always hunt the same way. You isolate your prey. You play with them. You make them afraid. But you never expect your prey to fight back. We do fight back, the Vorthok leader protested. We are warriors, you're bullies, Yunyang corrected. You only pick on creatures weaker than you. You've never faced a real challenge. The humans began to move closer. They had equipment the Vorthok had never seen before. Devices that hummed, with power, weapons that looked nothing like the crude tools most species used. The Galactic Council thinks humans are mid-tier, Tejo said from his communication equipment. We ask them to classify us that way. It's easier to hunt when your prey doesn't know you're dangerous. You hunt other species. The Vorthok leader asked. We hunt everything, Dongwu replied. The difference is, we don't do it for sport, we do it for dinner. Hyenwu opened his notebook and showed the Vorthok leader pictures. They were images of creatures from across the galaxy. Powerful, dangerous beings that had once been feared predators. Now they were all on human dinner tables. The Krelian battleworms, Hyenwu explained, pointing to one picture. We discovered they taste like lobster when properly prepared. Very popular in human restaurants now. He turned the page. The next is shadowcats, invisible predators that hunted in the dark. We learned to track them using heat sensors. They make excellent steaks. Another page. The Titan ice bears, 12 feet tall, bulletproof fur, could freeze prey with their breath. We found out they taste amazing when slow cooked. The Vorthok pack was beginning to understand. Humans were not just another species, there was something new. Something that had never existed in the galaxy before. You turn predators into food, the Vorthok leader whispered. We turn everything into food, Sujin corrected. It's what we do. It's what makes us human. The Vorthok leader felt fear for the first time in his life. Real fear, not the fear of death, but the fear of being hunted, of being studied, of being turned into someone else's dinner. What do you want from us? He asked. Captain Dongwu smiled. We want to invite you to dinner. 2 hours later, the Vorthok pack sat around a table in the colony's main dining hall. They were not tied up. They were not in cages. But they were definitely prisoners. The humans had set the table with real dishes and silverware. There were flowers in the center. Soft music played in the background. It looked like a fancy restaurant, not a place where apex predators were being held captive. Hyenwu worked in the kitchen preparing the meal. The smells that came from the cooking area were unlike anything the Vorthok had ever experienced. Their stomachs growled despite their fear. This is how humans hunt, Captain Dongwu explained as he sat across from the Vorthok leader. We don't just kill our prey. We civilize them first. Sujin presented her research to the confused aliens. She had charts and graphs showing human expansion across the galaxy. Every world they had visited, every species they had encountered. We don't conquer planets, she explained. We make business deals. We offer technology, medicine, education. In return we get resources, land, and sometimes new types of food. You're traders, the Vorthok leader said. We're farmers, Dongwu corrected. We turn wild creatures into domestic animals. We turn enemies into partners. We turn chaos into order. BRM showed them images of other worlds, places where former Redditors now worked alongside humans. The Krelian battleworms were raised on farms and harvested for their meat. The Nexus shadowcats were trained as hunting companions. The Titan ice bears were used for heavy labor in cold climates. But they're still alive, one of the Vorthok pack observed. Of course, Yunyong said, we don't drive species extinct. That would be wasteful. We find ways to make them useful. What about the humans you killed? The Vorthok leader asked. The miners, we didn't kill any miners, Tejo said with a grin. We moved them to safety 3 days ago. The whole colony. was evacuated. This was all a trap for you. The Vorthok leader felt his world crumbling. The blood, the signs of struggle, theater, Minho explained. We're very good at theater. We knew you would come here because you always follow the same pattern. We made it look like a perfect hunting ground. Hyan Wu emerged from the kitchen carrying plates of food. The smell was incredible. Even the Vorthok, who only ate raw meat, found their mouths watering. The main course, Hyan Wu announced, is prepared in the traditional Vorthok style. Raw meat, seasoned with Vorthok spices, served at the proper temperature. The Vorthok leader stared at the plate. How do you know our traditional recipes? We've been studying your culture for months, Sujin said. We know your hunting songs, your religious ceremonies, your favorite foods. We know everything about you. Why? The Vorthok leader asked. Because that's how you domesticate a species. Captain Dongwu replied. You learn what they need, what they want, what they fear. Then you give them a better option. The humans began to eat. The food was prepared perfectly, using techniques from dozens of different worlds. It was a feast that represented the best of galactic cuisine. Join us, Dongwu invited, or don't. But understand that this is your future. You can work with us, or you can become our next menu item. The Vorthok leader looked at his pack. They were the greatest hunters in the galaxy, but they had been outmaneuvered by creatures they had thought were prey. The humans had trapped them, studied them, and now offered them a choice. What kind of work, he asked. Security, Minho said. Humans need protection on dangerous worlds. Your hunting skills. It would be very valuable. Training, Sujin added. We could learn your techniques. You could learn ours. And if we refuse, the Vorthok leader asked. Hyan Wu smiled and patted his cookbook. Then you become Chapter 12, Exotic Meats from the Outer Rim. The Vorthok leader picked up his fork and began to eat. 6 months later, Manager Krell walked through the Vorthok ranch on New Sol. The planet was beautiful, with rolling hills and clean rivers. It was nothing like the harsh worlds where his pack used to hunt. The ranch was home to 300 Vorthok who had chosen to work with the humans rather than become dinner. They lived in comfortable houses, earned good wages, and had full medical care. It was a better life than they had ever known as wandering hunters. The tour groups will arrive in an hour, his human assistant Janae told him. She was a small woman with a kind smile, but Krell had learned not to underestimate humans. They want to see a traditional Vorthok hunt. Krell nodded. The hunts were controlled now. They tracked specially bred animals in a large preserve. Wealthy tourists paid huge amounts of money to watch apex predators work. It was safe, legal, and profitable. The old Vorthok leader had become a businessman. Manager Krell called one of his pack members, now called Hojin. The humans want to know if we can track that escaped criminal on Proxima Station. Tell them yes, Krell replied. But this time we charge extra for dangerous work. Krell had learned many things from humans. The most important was that everything could be turned into a business opportunity. Even being an apex predator, in the human city nearby. Dr. Sujin published her research paper From Redditor to Partner, How Humans Domesticated the Galaxy's Most Dangerous Species in 6 months. It became required reading at universities across human space. Cook Han, who opened his restaurant in the capital city. The apex predator served food from creatures that had once terrorized entire sectors of the galaxy. The waiting list was 2 years long. Captain Dongwu received a new mission. Reports had come in about a species of hive-mind aliens that had never been defeated. They were said to be unconquerable, unstoppable, and utterly hostile to all other life. What do we know about their dietary habits? Dongwu asked his crew. Unknown, Captain Sujin replied with a grin. But I'm sure we can find out. The Harmony turned toward the unknown sector. In the cargo hold, they carried the most dangerous weapons in the galaxy, recipes, bombing equipment, and business contracts. Somewhere in the depths of space, an entire hive-mind species was about to discover what it meant to meet humanity's greatest predators. Not soldiers, not scientists, but cooks, farmers, and business people who saw every dangerous creature as a potential menu item or business partner. The galaxy was learning a new rule. Humans were not apex predators because they were the strongest or the fastest. They were apex predators because they could turn anything into either dinner or a job opportunity. And sometimes, if they were lucky, both. Back on the Vorthok ranch, Manager Krell gave his evening report to the human board of directors. Profits were up. Tourist satisfaction was high. The Vorthok workers were happy and productive. Any problems? Asked the human CEO. Only one, replied. We're running out of species to domesticate. At this rate, humans will have turned every apex predator in the galaxy into either livestock or employees within 10 years. The human CEO smiled. Then we'll have to look outside the galaxy, Krell shuddered. He was very glad he had chosen to work with humans instead of against them. The galaxy's former apex predators were learning to become something new, humans, business partners, and they were discovering that it was a much better life than being on the menu.